What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Lore Reloaded. Trying this a little bit early. Not sure if anyone's going to join or what topic we should be discussing. I never know, and I feel bad about doing this. I'm going to be honest with you. And I'll probably repeat myself in just a second if people actually show up. I feel like this isn't something a lot of people like just because I don't know. It's not what it's not what the channel is known for, and I don't feel like there's a lot of people that show up to it. But if it's something that interests you and you like it, let me know. We can definitely go over it. Doing it a little bit early for those who can't come to the Central Standard Time stuff. Figure I say what's going on. Venom says, "Oh no, here we go." I don't know if you saw it. All I did is someone linked it to me. And I haven't necessarily been a huge fan of David Cullen for a while. He's an alright guy. I don't personally have anything against him. He's made some decisions I'm not sure I'm completely with, but I don't know. What the hell you doing streaming this early in the morning? I'm streaming this early so that you can actually show up, Dragon, so that it can be something that you enjoy. So I'm not sure why you would be confused by that. Opinion, Cisco is a war criminal. That's not opinion, that's just fact. Science fact. He's gone off the deep end. Last time I saw him, he became a Christian again, which is fine. I don't have any issues with that, though it's interesting to me that he went hard anti-authoritarian and then joined something that is directly authoritarian, but I mean, to each their own. I don't know who this Cullen is, so let's do it. He was more known with Gamergate, I think, would be his thing. He's was friends with Mundane Matt, actually called Mundane Matt out for defending a pedophile, and then took it down when Mundane Matt smooth talked him, or at least that's my understanding. Mundane Matt had a conversation with him, he took it down, so I don't know. Good morning, Lore. Almost time to start making dinner here. Almost time to start making... What time is it when I usually do it? Like 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. Christianity isn't authoritarian. Can you tell me who is the leader, who is the main person, whose word is good, and anything that is not good is by definition illegal? Not illegal, but wrong. Like, literally, sin means to miss the mark. Miss the mark of what? The person who says what is good or not? And if you don't obey that person, if you don't bow down to them, what occurs? Make no mistake, my friend, Christianity is exceptionally authoritarian. Now, that may be good or bad, but there is one figure you have to listen to. One figure whose word is right or wrong. And should you fall short of the glory of God, you're in trouble. Make no mistake about what Christianity is. If I'm allowed to point this out, have I already seen Star Wars Visions? I have. I watched most all of them. I did skip... I skipped forward on a few. It was hit or miss. It was really like the Animatrix, if you ever seen that from the Matrix specifically. So it was decent, but it reminded me of the Animatrix. It was hit or miss. By the way, guys, let me know. Let me know if you guys like me actually doing these live streams. Again, I don't really feel like a lot of people come on, so I don't know if it interests you. But if you like them, I will. No, I'm saying that if you have a hierarchy where one person is in charge and everything they do is good, and they have rules that they require you to do, then it is authoritarian. That is what I'm saying. It is, by definition. You little humans think you are authoritarian, but you're actually just paternalistic. I don't know what that means. I don't know what you mean when you say that. I know the definitions of the words. Quiet, heretic, if you do not continue unless the God Empress. I'm not even saying it's mad. It's just, it is an authoritarian system. It is, by definition. Does that mean it's bad or not? No, I'm talking about Christianity as a whole. Unless you're saying that Protestants don't believe in God and don't believe that He is the King, the one, the only, the one who makes the rules, the one in which we must bow down and do what He says. Unless you're saying if that type of Christian, I guess, which I don't even think that's Christian, but that type of Christian, I guess, doesn't fall under that. But most do. It is coffee time or Coke time. Pepsi, I guess. I need coffee. I miss coffee. Do I like world building for science fiction? I do. I actually do enjoy them. Me and Lore Runner are doing something. By definition, you had the same facial features as Zardos. That's true. Yeah, I was talking about this before. I haven't been a huge fan of Cullen for a while, but this keeps getting linked, so I figured I'd do it. Why do I not have coffee? Because I live in a sad world. JJMFDL is here, so we can all get started. We were all waiting. Favoring or enforcing strict obedience to authority, especially that of the government, at the expense of personal freedom. I would say that is Christianity in a nutshell, from God down. Now again, may not necessarily be bad. If God is the ultimate moral, the ultimate good, why wouldn't we want to be under His sway, right? Wouldn't that make us all the happiest that we can be? That's not bad. Nah, if I want to do a theology stream, I would just go to Salty Trekker and ask to be on a Sunday. I just talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. We can't all do 700 videos on the Dominion War, Venom. It's ironic me saying that. Venom, when did you want that? Did I miss that deadline? Please tell me I didn't. Oh, good. Okay, cool. I'm doing some stuff for Venom that I forgot about till just then. Not that I forgot, but it slipped my mind. Speaking of which, I might as well point out the facial hair of Ming the Merciless. Yeah. Dude, if I could find a coffee sponsor, I would push it like it's hot. I wouldn't even charge them half. People don't realize that the church does not have many enforcement mechanisms. I'm not even talking about a church. I love how everyone goes to the fact that they're like, well, you're talking about Catholicism or you're talking about church. Now, I'm talking about God. I'm talking about the big guy. I'm talking about the Alpha and the Omega, son. If ever there was an authoritarian government that existed, it would be those who serve under God Almighty within the Judeo-Christian belief. And again, not necessarily bad. You guys can get upset about it, but it is the way it is. Organian conspiracy theory. All right, you guys want to take a look at it? I have not watched it all that much. It is 6 minutes. It is the wokeness of modern Star Trek. Oh, look at him pimping out Major Grin. That has to be a good sign. I like Major Grin. Let's see. Does he pimp out anybody else while we're here? Nope. All right. Y'all ready? Are we all ready? Here we go. 6 minutes. Yeah, I mean, come on. 6 minutes. Get in the game. Get in the game. All right. Move this to over here. How do I get 8 alerts? Oh, okay. This over here. Hit that button. All right. Da, 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 da. All right, so I'm gonna do him versus me. We'll give it a second.
I have to ask,
This
is
would
there
be
any
Dave
major Hollywood franchise that hasn't
Cullen.
succumbed to the left's
This would be
politically
me.
correct woke agenda?
Can you hear him
Feminist
versus
themes in
me
movies and TV
going
shows are
on?
practically
I probably
everywhere these
won't be talking at the same time, but you can see what's going on, Hontus. We can get started. Hey there, Trek people. I've been wondering how a Thalarian weapon like this, the scimitar, would affect the Borg. If it's organics, it'd probably destroy them. I think. I guess. What do you guys think? The Dominion will give you 8 chances of reincarnation before you send you to hell. That's true. You're calling God a benign dictator. There's a church hymn that says King Benign. Okay. Well, I mean, okay. I guess I'm in concert with that. Sounds good. Yeah, as long as you don't talk at the same time. Yeah. What's up, Leo? All right. Hop, hop, hop. Here we go.
I have to ask.
Also, by the way, if you want to watch this by yourself without me, sorry. I am going to stop and be talking about this throughout. So I would suggest going and seeing it on your own if you don't want interruption, even within seconds of each other. I'm kind of a geek for a lot of different things, but mostly I'm an animation geek. Hence my interest in Disney animation and furry fandom. Well, that's cool. And I got that because you're a webcomic creator. I liked most of them. I'll tell you, the one thing we will get into this, I promise, but the one thing I was disappointed with in Star Wars Visions was the type of animation, the type of anime that I enjoy were the weakest stories for me. But that's just me. Oh, this guy. I see his videos and I watch them. Who is he attached to channel-wise? Major Grin. I think he has a Phantom Menace. I think he has Phantom Menace channels he interacts with. I don't know that he's Phantom Menace, but I would say I would put him in the hater range. I really would. He's well spoken though.
Is there any major Hollywood franchise that hasn't succumbed to the left's politically correct woke agenda? Feminist themes in movies and TV shows are practically everywhere these days.
Okay, so the question is there anything that hasn't moved with the culture? Which is what he's asking. Because the culture itself, at least from a media standpoint, and possibly, I think you could argue, a political standpoint, probably cultural. I would say a cultural shift. I would probably, well, even Orville, I think, has moved left. Is there anything that has kept like a 80s or 90s vibe? Is he asking? Is there anything that hasn't changed? I don't know that he's not from what culture. No, he's not. I promise you. I would bet the channel on it. He's not from what culture? Rick and Morty, maybe? I don't think Rick and Morty has fallen to the political correctness yet. I don't know that there's a science fiction show. Arguably The Expanse. Is there anything like that in The Expanse? He's worse than Steve Shives, and that's saying something. I don't. It's interesting because again, the way that this is phrased is there a show that hasn't moved with the culture at this point? Because the culture is moving in that direction, whether we like it or not. And obviously, companies want to make money, so they're going to move in that direction, right?
Just look at the absolute state of the Star Trek franchise right now. There was a video put together by a user by the name of Major Grin that explains
all right, so
the franchise right now.
I guess I'm trying to understand what's wrong with this. This is the problem with hater videos, and something that it gets a lot of, and this is why they get a lot of views and they get a lot of money, is because they say something negative. They will say, "Oh, Star Trek is just horrible." Flash a picture of Short Treks or of Picard, and then just keep it moving, because as long as they don't have to say what's wrong with it, then they can just let the person's imagination go. And that's just tuning in now. Excited to see Dave Cullen. I'm breaking down his video. He's not a part of this. Also, if you like Dave Cullen, you're not going to enjoy this stream. Is it truly a hater video? A really video simply pointing out some flaws or current Trek? It's not pointing out any flaws. So yes, it is by definition a hater video. At least the first 14 seconds. Now, to be fair, it's 6 minutes and 36 seconds, so we'll get into it. Maybe I'm wrong. But the first 14 seconds is exactly how a hater video would go. So yes, yes, dear Excalibur, there is a Santa Claus. What's going on, Mountains of Elysium?
There was a video put together by a user by the name of Major Grin that explains the difference between Star Trek The Next Generation and Star Trek Discovery, specifically the spin-off series, The Short Treks. The TNG crew tried hard to help integrate the character of Reg Barclay as a productive member of the Enterprise D's crew, despite his idiosyncrasies and social awkwardness.
Try to find some way to help him to make a positive contribution. Get to know the man better.
And it worked.
Ah, there it is. This again would show why it is a hater. Now again, maybe in the next 5 minutes he's going to correct himself and I'll eat crow. But that specific episode that he's talking about, because I recently did a video where I had to watch that episode over again, the only person that wanted Barclay to succeed was Captain Picard. Geordi wanted to get rid of him. Geordi didn't like him. He was being mocked by Wesley, who was encouraged and promoted by Riker. He was mocked so much that Picard accidentally called him Broccoli, which was a name that they were attacking him over. Now, again, 40 seconds in, maybe he corrects that, maybe he goes out to say it's out of his way. Also, unlike, and I forget who the name of the one character is, unlike that guy, Archer, I'm going to call him because he's the voice of Archer. Unlike Archer, well, that's funny because of Enterprise. Anyway, Broccoli actually wanted to integrate. He wanted to do stuff. That guy was obviously not. But we can keep going.
They eventually brought out the best in Reg Barclay. But in a recent Short Trek episode, this awkward white male character named Edward gets berated endlessly by his smug female superior officer. Gotta fight that patriarchy, am I right?
So let's talk about that for a second. Again, this is going to be breaking this down second by second, so if you don't like that, or you're a huge Cullen fan, not for you. It talks about patriarchy and attacking it. It's interesting because Barclay was white himself, right? He was a white guy. The person who was sympathetic to him. So let me reverse for a second and say one thing. There were two people that were sympathetic to him in the episode. There was Captain Picard and Deanna Troi. So you could actually make a similar argument because Deanna Troi was encouraging people to interact with him more as well. And so you could say, well, we got to fight that patriarchy. I mean, the counselor, the most empathetic one, the female. It's just disingenuous. And I don't know that this is ever done on purpose. I think that it's just not thought when the video is being put together. That's my point. Now, if you guys disagree with me, I'm open to the conversation, but I don't know.
I just don't think you're the right fit for the kind of work we're doing here, so I've requested to have you transferred.
Captain, but...
This conversation's over. You're dismissed.
Right, but...
This is the end of the conversation.
Captain, if I could...
You can't.
Right, but I had this as
The conversation's over.
This is insane. What am I watching here? What is this?
That's the end.
Well, technically, the conversation is not over because I can keep talking, and then the conversation is
I don't know how you made it this far in your career behaving like this.
I have no words.
You think I'm done?
This is why I ended the conversation. I'm having you transferred. End of conversation.
It would be rude and irresponsible to end a conversation.
The conversation's over.
But...
Edward.
Remember earlier I said...
Larkin.
Yep.
It isn't funny, and it plays like a scene from an Austin Powers movie. This feels...
Why didn't... Oh, we're not in the thing. I got something special that comes up, but because I did it here. I need to do that to all of them. Dang it. Sorry, I got special pop-ups now. When I go back, you guys will see special pop-ups. Hey, Laura, hope you're doing well. I watched this video not too long ago, too. What's your opinion on it, Ensign Ricky? Nice to see you. So, again, I don't know. Let's see what he says for a second.
feels more like a parody of Star Trek. Anyway, this female captain plans to transfer this guy rather than trying to help work with him and help to integrate him better into the crew. And it's because he's an idiot, apparently, based on her subjective opinion.
He was an idiot.
So here's my thing, and I don't. Does it pull it up? No, it doesn't look like he ever goes back. Here's my problem. This is it's either disingenuous or Cullen isn't smart enough to look at the to actually watch the episode that is referenced beforehand. I think what happened is he watched a Major Grin video, which, again, I like Major Grin, but I have showed how the dude, at least historically, his recent stuff is a lot better. Notice he doesn't get a lot of views compared to what he did beforehand. But his recent stuff, his stuff historically in the past was very, very deceptive. Very, very deceptive. And I think he watched a Major Grin video and was like, oh, that makes sense. Look at that. And then didn't actually go back and watch. Because this is exactly what happened in that episode with Barclay. Everyone wanted to get rid of him. Everyone. The difference is, and someone mentioned it, arguably she's a bad captain. She's no Picard. And that's the difference. Not because she's female, but because that's just the way that she's written. And or her character type itself. She should not have been captain. Picard saw that you could take a character that was neurodivergent and turned him into something. She doesn't. But Picard was the only... Well, Picard and Deanna were the only ones. Everyone else wanted to get rid of him. Not only that, Starfleet was shipping him from ship to ship to ship. Captains were saying that Barclay was the best just to get him off. He was getting high marks in Starfleet, even though he shouldn't and doesn't deserve them at that time because they didn't want him on his ship. It is... and this gets this type of video right here. This type of video has 93,000 people watching it, and 11,000 said, "Yeah, that's fantastic. That's great. That's what that should be." This is exactly how you make money. And again, I don't know if Cullen is being deceptive, or he simply doesn't watch it and is putting uneducated opinions on here. Alex helping out the channel. She's being unprofessional even though she can. She is being unprofessional. Yeah. She is, I agree. That scene looked a lot like a homage to Archer with the back and forth dialogue. Maybe. The difference is there was no one to lift him up. He was just simply rejected. I agree. I agree. That's one thing that happened. I mean, is it really crazy when you actually break it down? Because remember, when we first began this, and I don't know if the people are still watching, I'd be interested. When we first started this, people were like, hell yeah, Dave Cullen nailed it. He's talking about what's going on. But when you actually look at it, you can tell. I think most of the Fandom Menace types don't actually watch. I don't think he's Fandom Menace. I don't think he's ever identified with Fandom Menace. I do think he's a hater, but I don't think he's Fandom Menace. I think he makes some good points here, but in other parts, I think he's grasping for straw. What good points does he make exactly? Because the only difference between this episode and the other one, and again, 4 more minutes, up to this point, the only points he's made is that it's the exact same episode, just with a bad captain. What happens when the captain's not the best? I'm sincerely curious. Also, folks, this captain sending a bad officer isn't uncommon for the original series. That's true.
Heightened 23rd century Federation values and high-minded ideals in this conversation. Where's the understanding, empathy, and compassion for everyone's unique personalities and differences? This conversation sounds like someone getting fired by an angry, condescending, man-hating feminist HR manager. This is so... condescending, man-hating differences. This conversation sounds like someone getting fired by an angry, condescending, man-hating feminist HR manager. This is so...
So only an angry, condescending, man-hating HR manager would fire someone in this way. I feel like in the original series and Deep Space Nine, maybe not TNG, there have been firings like this or people treated worse than this. And again, it just goes out of the way to get rid of context, which again is historically very Major Grin. She's a young officer. This is her first captaincy, and she's probably not a good captain. Picard was... I mean, why do haters do that? I guess I gotta ask that too. I don't understand. Why do haters go to the, well, she's obviously a lesbian, HR man-hating person? Why does it have to be that? Like, just, it's always that. What's going on, Candace? Hope you're doing well. He said that it's what it sounds like, not that this is the only contact. It's what it sounds like. Ah, okay. I didn't know if it's what it sounds like at the beginning, then it makes it all okay. I didn't know that. I guess that's what it is. So you guys know, you can justify anything. It's what it sounds like, you know? I didn't know that. That's a really interesting thing. I'm glad that I can say some horrific stuff and say it's what it sounds like and get away with it. Okay. There we go. Hey, learning stuff every day. Every day. His overarching goal here is to expose the over-the-top feminism of disco-era Trek. He does it very poorly. Very poorly. In this episode. His other videos, he knocks it out. Maybe I'm going to watch one of the other videos. I'm going to be calling up Nerdrotic and be like, man, I am so sorry. Can we be friends? So maybe his other videos are good. So far, not so much.
So insulting to the legacy of Star Trek. Look at this scene.
Right, take your time.
Yeah, I was just kidding. I think it's broken. It's broken. Oh. Yeah. Thank you for fixing it. It was broken.
He can't do anything right because, of course, he's incompetent. So this black female character shows him how to do his job. And look at what becomes...
You know, it's really interesting to me. I'll say this, too. One of the things that always frustrated me with liberals and leftists, and still to today, somewhat, on Twitter, is that they'll take a situation, they'll look at the color of the skin of the situation, and then they will, based on that, come up with a narrative. And it feels like in the past, right-leaning people or conservatives would say, why are we looking at the skin color? Why don't we just look at the situation? That feels like that's flipped when it comes to this stuff.
of this guy. And look at...
First off, there are other white male characters that are doing their job. Look to the left of the female. White male character who did his job just fine. This story is about this character and how much he sucks. And it's done as a comedy. Not really the best Trek, not really well written. I'll completely agree with that. But when you look at the story and the context of everything, we have it's not like everyone else. It's like it's not like every other person is a person of color or female. There are white males doing their jobs too. What's going on, Tanya? Hope you're doing well. It's frustrating.
So this black female character shows him how to do his job. And look at what becomes of this guy.
Epic discoveries before time! I'm not the dumb one!
So he dies. And this is how this debriefing with Starfleet goes down.
We never see him die, technically, to be fair.
According to your report, this entire calamity was all caused by one crew member. How do you explain that?
He was an idiot.
He was an idiot, she says. No mourning the loss of a human life, a fellow Starfleet officer. His death is just played for laughs. No.
Now, again, the point of this is to show how bad Star Trek Discovery is, how bad Disco-era Trek is in comparison. In Season 1 of The Next Generation, a Romulan warbird with roughly, I think it's, 70 to 150 people on a Romulan? How many people on a Romulan warbird? Crew Romulan warbird. Dodera Dex class has a crew of... Does it tell us how much of a crew it has? Has a crew of... Oh, wow, that's way off. 1,500 plus officers. It was about to explode. Picard made a joke and then told the Enterprise to leave. Picard made a joke about 1,500 people about to die, and then the Enterprise left. They didn't stay to assist. They didn't try to help people. Again, Riker, Geordi, Wesley all mocked Barclay. There are a ton of examples within the original series, The Next Generation. There's nothing in Disco-era Trek that isn't in original Trek. So I don't understand why we try to say, well, this is bad when it existed. I love how everyone in space is on. It was that way for The Next Generation. They changed, well, first couple seasons. She takes no responsibility or accountability and blames the loss of her ship completely on a subordinate. I agree. She should be fired. Hopefully she never got another command. Hopefully she got out of Starfleet. Weren't the Romulans trying to destroy the Enterprise at the time? I don't believe they were, but even if they were, that is so far outside of what a Starfleet officer would do, or Picard would do, that it boggles the mind. Like, even if they were attempting to destroy the Enterprise would still try to help them. That's what it means to be a Starfleet officer. It just is. If you don't like that, your argument is with Starfleet, not me. I have less of a problem with the inclusion of Trek. Trek was always inclusive from the start. I have an issue with them writing characters with no flaws or journey to overcome. See, I would agree with that. I think that is where the hat needs to be laid. I would completely and utterly agree with that. Michael originally was written with no flaws. Oh, people can say she had flaws, but you're lying to yourself. She really doesn't. It's not a flaw when your flaw is you're too perfect. Really, it's not. Anyway, I don't want to get into that argument. I'll say this because somebody's going to come back. I'll say this. She was written with minimal flaws that only hurt the story when it was supposed to, not as an actual character. I'll rephrase what I said. I think she got better in season 2, definitively got better in season 3, and as an actual character in season 3. But that's a place to hang your hat. She's not really a character. She's some form of fan fiction, honestly. What a world. I use subbots. You're all subbots, is what you're saying? What a world life? Well, I don't, but all of you guys are bots, apparently, so welcome to that. Calling a subordinate an idiot during a professional inquiry? Wow. I mean, you should have seen what Riker said about Barclay. It was pretty rough. If the real lesson of this Trek short was not to be a captain, I can understand that. Show an inexperienced officer being. But how they did? They didn't show her how to be a good officer. Seriously, Excalibur. I'm asking seriously. I'm asking anybody seriously. Oh no, what a weird life. If you're going to call me out and say that I'm like getting subbotting or whatever, don't delete it, buddy. Be loud and proud. Come on, call it out. I don't know why you deleted that. Come on. So Excalibur. You really think that this was trying to promote her as a good captain? Really? You think that this was saying that she will continue to become like the Picard of her day? Really? Riker was a complete jerk to Captain Jellicoe? I'd agree with that. I love when people who made a career of being political and lefties are going mad, then start crying about a TV show ignoring all the context. I stopped watching Cullen a while back. I stopped watching him when he became a Christian. It wasn't because he became a Christian. It was just I found a lot of contradictions in what he did, and so it just the stuff didn't entertain me anymore. I still watch Christians. I love what is it? Don't Call Me Kevin or Call Me Kevin? I forget. He does reviews. He's awesome. But what was I saying? Where was I going with all of this? Why does it have to go that way? I don't understand it. Michael Burnham at the start of Discovery could out-captain the captain, out-science the lead. Yeah, she was written like a god. I agree. That's something we can talk about. That's legitimate. I don't understand why we do this stuff, you know?
Respect for his...
By the way, I'm going to continue, but I sincerely, if you guys think that she was portrayed as a great captain here or something, or going to continue her captaincy, let me know, because I don't think so. I don't interpret it that way. I could be wrong. I could be. I love how people start one way on YouTube and turn into another before our eyes. Yeah, that definitely happened to me. Oh, man, I started the channel. It was a response channel / Christian channel. I was a Christian YouTuber for most of my tenure on YouTube so far. Even longer than I've been this channel. But, you know, I bought it all the time. I had millions on that one, too. Or it's still an obscure channel that barely anyone knows about because I don't buy it. But, I mean, it's whatever.
Dignity, no value given to him as a person, as a sentient being that's now been lost. Just, he was an idiot. He's basically disposable. Who cares? Everything about this episode flies in the face of Star Trek philosophy.
Oh, cry me the song of your people. This happens on TNG, the original series, Deep Space Nine. Maybe it happened on... I think it happened on Voyager, too, didn't it? It's not like this is something that hasn't been where someone is considered lesser.
And it's done in the name of a feminist agenda, to make this female character seem superior and validated. How disgustingly cynical. This episode, The Trouble with Edward, was meant...
Wouldn't have pegged you for a Bible basher? I don't necessarily bash the Bible. What did you mean Bible thumper?
To be a light-hearted story, but it's not even remotely funny. The white male is played as the butt of the jokes. The comedy comes from how goofy and dumb he is. Everyone else is just rolling their eyes and recoiling from him in disgust.
Well,
you gotta love it. You gotta love it. Well, first off, Venom, please tell me how I'm a Bible basher. You gotta love it. Listen to this. Let's listen to it again.
The comedy comes from how goofy and... The white male is played as the butt of the jokes. The comedy comes from how goofy and dumb he is. Everyone else is just rolling their eyes and recoiling from him in disgust.
well,
Next clip, white male. White male who is also... Isn't that two white males? Is that another male? Maybe female. White male, right there, who is rolling his eyes at him. It's not singling out white males. We have other males. It's just somebody who's an idiot that they're singling out, who happens to be white.
sure. I could genetically manipulate the DNA to make them all brain damaged, and that way that would
An episode...
Funny how you don't focus on the other two males who are also rolling their eyes. Oh, a thumper. Yeah, man, I was big into Christian. I almost became a pastor. I was a huge Christian back in the day.
Episode like this would never have been written on any of the previous Star Trek shows. In the case of the character of Reg Barkley, he had to learn to overcome his flaws and neuroticism so that his intelligence and talent could eventually shine through. But in order for his intelligence...
Da, 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 da. Hold on for a second. Da, 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 da. Let's see. Episode where they call Barkley broccoli. Star Trek. Is it Hollow Pursuits? I think it's Hollow Pursuits. Is it Hollow Pursuits? What is the episode he's talking about? What is this episode, people? Cedric helping out the channel. If she was in the real Navy, she would have been either drummed out or demoted because she was ultimately responsible. Wouldn't she be put in jail? Because I think she would have broken the law. True, it happened on other series, but in those series, the character is always given a chance to prove themselves. No, Nick. There have been episodes where they weren't able to prove themselves ultimately because they fell out of the mantra. They fell so far from the glory of God that they weren't. Barkley is one that was, but they weren't. And it's all right. If you want to retcon or rewrite his argument, we can have that argument, but it still only points out how stupid the argument is. What's the episode? The two Barkley episodes. I think. Well, maybe it's Hollow. But season 3 seems like really late. I thought that was a season 1 episode. Maybe not. Maybe it was Hollow Pursuits. Yeah. Yep. Do 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 do. All right, hold on. I'm gonna mute you guys for just one quick second, okay? And I'm not gonna mute me. I'm gonna mute what you can hear on the desktop for just one quick second because I want to get the exact. All right, give me a second. Try harder, Jordy. Member of your team. There it is. All right, here we go. 3840. 702. All right, here we go. Y'all ready for this? No, I'm probably gonna get hit with the thing. But let's listen to our lad here. Let's listen to our fine young lad. All right. Sorry I didn't play that for you guys. I forgot you couldn't hear it. But, so I guess I got to go back and we got to watch that again.
Don't understand it.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate that. Appreciate that.
Cummings. But this character ultimately help him to engage with, but in order for that to have eroticism so that his, in the case, this would never have been written on any of the previous Star Trek shows.
And that way that would,
An episode like this would never have been written on any of the previous Star Trek shows.
This guy. Broccoli makes me nervous, Captain. He makes everybody nervous.
Broccoli. Young Mr. Crusher started that. I guess it's caught on.
Smiling. Smiling. He's smiling. He's enjoying it.
Been written on any of the previous Star Trek shows. In the case of the episode like this would never have been written on any of the previous Star Trek shows.
Anybody. But I just don't understand this guy. Broccoli makes me nervous, Captain. He makes everybody nervous.
Broccoli. Young Mr. Crusher started that. I guess it's caught on.
Smiling.
Let's just get that.
Smiling. Never written on the shows. Never written. Impossible.
Shall we?
Never done. Not done. Not my Star Trek. Not my Star Trek, young folks. You beautiful, lovely people. Not my Star Trek. Never done. Never gonna mock them. Never gonna happen. Not my Star Trek. Never gonna happen.
In the case of the...
Again, Durish Devil, if you want to retcon this and rewrite it, because I'm just going by what he said. Like, I'm just going by what he said. Not by what I wish he would say so that it fits my worldview. But if we wanted to look at by what I wish he would have said that fits my worldview, in this, my interpretation of what he said is, dear God, I don't know what I'm talking about. Go subscribe to Lore Reloaded so you can get someone who's actually educated on the topic. Now, that was my interpretation based on my worldview. So if we're doing our worldviews, we can. But really, for me, I was doing the Alpha Canon. And the Alpha Canon is what he said. Just going by what he said. Within the context of the video. But, you know, we all got our head canons, right?
overcome his flaws and neuroticism so that his intelligence and talent could eventually shine through. But in order for that to happen, the crew had to be patient with him, to tolerate his quirkiness and learn to understand him, develop into a productive member of the crew. And he was often very heroic because he had to rise above his shortcomings. But this
age difference is another factor. Riker is older. Okay. I don't, in all sincerity, I don't know where you're going with that, Alex. What does age have to do?
character of Edward is just a punchline. He's deliberately written to be ridiculously stupid, reckless, and irresponsible. He mixes human DNA with the tribbles and makes them breed at an insanely fast rate. But he doesn't care about it. He's not written to be self-aware enough to understand the consequences of his actions. He's therefore a caricature. He's written to be stupid and one-dimensional in order to make the rest of the characters, and especially the female captain, seem stronger.
There's two things to that. First off, one-note characters aren't always a bad thing. Like, they can fill the necessity of it. An example of this would be like in, well, henchmen are really a good example of this. Like, henchmen who are evil, who do the story of the big bad, don't necessarily have to be expanded. This was written as a comedy, and so if we assume that he's a one-note character, he's meant to be the gag. That's the joke. Now, that said, I don't think it's one-dimensional to have a character that's so full of themselves that they don't understand what's occurring to them. In fact, I think Starfleet is so idiotic that they would let someone like that into their ranks. And I can't even overemphasize that if this was a person of color, you wouldn't even have made this video, by the way. But anyway. No, I think the episode was written to show what a bad captain looks like. At least that's my take. I don't know that it was, but I don't know that I agree with that. I don't know that that's what it was, but it definitely shows a bad captain, for sure. A younger officer like the female should treat an older subordinate with more respect, while Riker making fun of someone younger is not as bad. Oh, okay. Well, I understand what you're saying now. I disagree with it, but I understand what you're saying. Thank you for... You didn't have to. If you want me, I can refund... You could have told that without the super chat. Thank you so much. I support it. It keeps keeps the lights on. But you didn't have to super chat again to tell me if you didn't want to. But thank you. Some people are just like that in real life and are just as much of an idiot like Edward is. Personally, they should have been kicked out and just not just transferred. It all comes down to writing. We used to have 4 people at most write a great episode of Trek. Now the episode gets 30 writers and producers, and they still can't get it right. I guess right is subjective. I think that it's not what it was. I would agree with that. I think it was written to make people subscribe to CBS All Access. See, I like the way Venom thinks. Venom's got it going on. Why do I disagree? Because I don't think the age of a person should impact whether you mock them or not. I don't think that you should be able to attack someone personally based on if they are older or younger than you are. So just because there's a child in front of me doesn't mean that because I have decades on them that I should like destroy their spirit from within. Just because I talk to somebody who's 80 doesn't mean that they deserve any more respect than anybody else. It's earned. Now, this may be a millennial thing, but I think that people should earn respect. I don't think they should be given it. That said, I think everyone has a base amount of respect. That would be my opinion on it.
He's written to be killed off because he's an idiot and he's never redeemed. There's nothing redeemable about him. I'm sick of this woke millennial era of writing where these...
Okay, so you're a millennial too, by the way. Dave Cullen is a millennial. If he's anywhere from his late 20s into his 40s, our lad is a millennial. I'm pretty sure he's close to my age. I could be wrong. And what makes it, again, is it because he's white? Because, again, we've seen other white characters who do fine. Is it because he's male? We've seen other white male characters in that short track that's done fine. This is my problem with these episodes, with these videos. He has not at any point made his case. He has just stated things as if they were fact, and people gulp it up because we're all mad at each other, and we're in a... and he's really, like, leaning hard into people that think that the LGBT are coming to take their kids. And it's frustrating. I still love Odo's reaction to the hate Klingons have for tribbles. That was kind of funny. Forget calling it woke writing, just call it what it is. Bad writing. Sure. Destroy their spirit, yeah, that's what I'm with you. Respect needed to be earned. Could I turn up my mic a bit? People keep saying that. I'll turn it up. Let me know if that's any better. Is that any better? If it is, great. If it's too loud, let me know. I still love Odo's reactions. Oh, I already read that.
These writers resurrect iconic classic franchises that they have very little understanding of, and then vandalize them with their left...
I don't think Dave Cullen thinks the LGBT are coming for us. I do think he believes the LGBT is trying to push how awesome and better they are by writing bad stories. No. So what he is doing is he is leaning into the hatred online for progressive thoughts, specifically LGBT. It's all within this really badly done video. He talks about how, remember, let's go back to his insult for the captain. What did he call her? He said, this sounds like. By the way, that makes it okay, anybody. If you ever want to commit genocide, just say this sounds like. He specifically states, this sounds like, what was it? A lesbian man-hating HR representative. How is that not tapping into people who have a fear that people who are LGBT are coming to change their very culture and take their kids? Please let me know. So that statement, specifically, that let's say that it is a whistle by dogs. That whistle by dogs, how is that man-hating, lesbian, HR manager or person? How is that not at least giving the message indirectly that lesbians and LGBT are coming for you? They're man-hating lesbians, that they're coming after you. Let me know. I'm gonna give it a second. We'll give it about 30, maybe 40 seconds, and you can explain to me how that is not a whistle of the dogs. Dave has been raging like this for years. He was a stone toss away from being a fascist years ago. That's why 99% of his videos are deleted. You know, I used to watch him quite a bit. I didn't get the fascism take. Maybe it was back then. Back then I was not as... not where I am now, politically, we'll say. So maybe I just didn't see it, or I agreed with it. But again, he went off the rails for me too, which is why I stopped watching. You make a point. If you were to make a similar video, I'd only attack the writing and directing. Yeah. The only thing that gets right in the video is the writing of Trek. The other anti-narrative BS he pushes, I don't really care for. I don't think it's the best written either. I don't think it's the best written show either. I wouldn't say it's not Trek. I think that here's what I would say. And I would stand behind when it comes to the short Trek he's referencing. Star Trek has historically shown us the best of the best, that humans have come to the pinnacle of who they are, of what they are supposed to be. And now we're being shown a, we'll say, either normal to subpar version of humans on a ship where things fell. Now, we know through the original series, The Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, these things happen. Like, there are bad captains, there are bad crews, but we never follow them. They're never put as, like, the main protagonist or antagonist. And so it always showed us what humanity should be through Picard, through Kirk, arguably Cisco, through Janeway. And I say arguably because Cisco did a lot of bad things. Janeway did too, though. And so when we see this, it's not showing us the pinnacle. It's showing us, like, ourselves in the Trek universe, like what humans would do right now in the Trek universe. That's not historically Star Trek writing. Arguably, you could say that's bad writing, depending on what your preference is. Calling him names does not make me better than him. I don't know that I've called him names. I don't think I've called... I've specifically spoken to the ideas, not necessarily Dave. But I could call him a name, it not make me better, and still be right. I could still be right. This was written for laughs, and he's trying to push classic Trek into a few-minute-long joke. Yeah, I would say that. Did I call Dave something? I don't think I called Dave anything. I don't remember. Let me know if I did.
Wing identity politics and social justice ideology. Remember in the first episode of the second season of Discovery, they introduced this white male character, Connolly. Connolly is presented as this jerk, an arrogant dude bro mansplainer who mansplains to the always perfect Michael Burnham. And during a dangerous mission through some asteroids, he gets killed right while he's mansplaining to her.
You can't rely on sensors.
Don't question my calculations. My roommate at the academy was Parkation, and she was a year ahead of me, Burnham. But I told her what I'll tell you. Just relax and let me do...
Yep, he should have listened to the woman. Michael Burnham knew best. She always knows best.
So, again, two things to that. We'll go with the second part first. I'm still waiting for an explanation on how, when you call some person whammon, a derogatory term for woman, and it's specifically meant for like an what they call an SJW, a progressive, an LGBT, and you couple that with, what was it again? Man-hating lesbian HR person, like how that's not specifically trying to get the population that's scared, how that's not trying to rile them up. I'm still waiting for that explanation. And now the first part, this is actually right. I actually agree with him. This specifically goes out of his way to have a character that is specifically white and male, to be sexist and arguably racist, and to just kill him off. It is a caricature. If you want to have a discussion about those specific instances, but these are two different parts, and it again also is outside of context. That was a bad character written to attack a specific kind of person that may or may not exist when it comes to the sexist racist guy. It wasn't meant as an attack. However, looking at the context of the series, Captain Pike is the white male, is captain of the Enterprise, takes over the Discovery and has some pretty heroic points of his own. Arguably, he has a better arc than Michael. He's given a lot more. He's given a very classical Starfleet arc. That said, there are points when Michael overrides him or is right when he's not. Again, season 2 still has issues. But there are a couple of points when he counters her as well, and he points out that she's wrong. Again, if we had talked about this, and then maybe we brought up the points with Pike, I think that's an interesting video. I think that's a video that I would probably agree with was meant to attack specifically what he's saying is being attacked. But we didn't do that. We looked at a 2-minute Major Grin video, and we assumed that it was right, never watched the original TNG episode, and went off the rails. That's the That's the frustrating thing. That's why this is why I'm not as popular as I could be, and this is why a lot of people hate me. I think that there are legitimate arguments that Dave could make, that the Fandom Menace has made. It's just how they go about it and what they tend to focus on. Ensign Ricky says, would you say the Federation of the Discovery is a more exaggerated and glorified version than the Federation of the older? I would reverse that, at least in the Next Generation. The Next Generation, the original series, are a more over-exaggerated and glorified version of what we see in Deep Space Nine, Voyager, and Discovery era Trek. That's my opinion on it. We can have a bit of a conversation on that if you want. No, the Cisco hate was never about race. I always wonder why people always want to make things about race. MG Garrick, you keep arguing with me. That's simply not accurate. I mean, there are letters that were kept by CBS as well as Ira, where it was specifically because of the color of his skin. It just, back then it just was. That's just something that happened. I'm sorry that it's frustrating. By the way, I didn't see. Can someone at Lore Reloaded so that it pings for me? Because I'm looking at you guys further away. Do you, is the sound better? Don't watch Discovery or Picard. Doesn't feel or look like Star Trek. Very mean-spirited. I don't know that I would say that necessarily. I would say it's not classical Trek. It's not legacy Trek for sure. And if you want to keep legacy Trek in your mind the way it is, then I would encourage you not to watch it. There are also Usenet posts that talk about the aspect of people hating Cisco. Yeah, I mean, there's evidence. There's evidence that racism was something that fans got upset about. There just is. It is what it is. And I think that if we'd had Twitter back then, it would have been a lot more. Anyway.
I guess his masculinity must have been toxic. This is some seriously high-quality science fiction here.
See, this is my thing. This is, again, it's not comparable. By the way, Dave, just so you know, what I would have done is I would have blurred the middle so they actually melded into each other. Would have looked a lot better than just these two cutscenes, personally, but...
I'm so glad that Hollywood has given up on writing compelling and thought-provoking stories with interesting, deep, and likable characters, and instead focused on the more important issue of being well-received by woke critics as opposed to the audience. Star Trek...
I know Dave has talked about how awesome Orville is. I think he's actually talked about how well The Expanse is. Again, this is an exaggeration, and it's really unfortunate. Because even if we accepted that Star Trek was horrifically bad and is just the liberal trying to take our kids from us, you still have The Expanse, you still have Orville, you still have the Marvel Universe, you still have... oh yeah, Star Wars. We're supposed to hate Star Wars too, right? So we can't use Star Wars. And we hate Doctor Who. We can't use Doctor Who. Rick and Morty. There's still a lot of stuff that doesn't go the way of Star Trek. How much better would I think? I don't know. I wonder how divided we were and not knew it before Twitter, before YouTube, before Facebook. I do feel like this divide, this cultural divide, like even the argumentation, me shadowboxing Dave right here, is a problem. And it's a problem because of the internet. I don't think we were ready for it.
Trek sure looks to be in great hands.
Please consider supporting my work at Subscribestar. .net. .org. So that was what I thought that was going to be. Has any one of the lower decks, has any of these channels addressed lower decks after the first couple of episodes? Generally, my understanding of what's been happening with lower decks is they say, oh, it sucks. Don't actually watch it and then go on. The Boys is a very popular show that you can't call. Well, okay, there you go. By the way, Pitch Nerds is a pretty cool channel. They do their own podcasts and stuff. I would definitely suggest checking them out. Spock and Kirk are bisexual in the upcoming series. I don't think there's any real... So, here's an interesting discussion on that. Because I've been thinking about that. And, it's really hard for me in that conversation. Because when you look at Spock and you look at Kirk, for the era that it's... in 2020, the way they act is pretty odd, pretty weird, right? It's sometimes even uncomfortable to a degree. And then Kirk is quite obviously a ladies' man, right? When you look at the era, the way that they interacted wasn't considered bisexual in any like way, right? In 2020, it can be interesting to rewatch the episodes. I don't think they should make either of those characters bisexual personally. And this is when people get really upset at me on the left. Get like stupid upset. And I don't understand why. I think that we should just make new characters or unestablished characters bisexual or homosexual or heterosexual or whatever we want them to be. Number one could be bisexual, as an example. I think that would be interesting. She would clearly be bisexual. She wouldn't be homosexual. She wants to be with Pike. But the established characters, I don't think there's any reason to change it. Race, gender, or religion talks shouldn't have any bearing on the new Trek series. This is what Star Trek was all about from the start. I don't care who or what they put in the write it good. Race, gender, or religion talks shouldn't have any bearing. I don't know that I agree with that necessarily. I think race, gender, and religion have played huge impacts on the legacy track. And that's something that's the cultural divide. That is our cultural thing now. So wanting to lean into that, I don't think is necessarily bad personally. Perhaps they got upset because there's some merit to Dave's concern, and perhaps they get upset. Who gets upset, Adam? I specifically just took... how long has it been? I specifically took an hour breaking down a 6-minute video showing why it actually has very little merit. So what specifically in it has merit that gets people upset? Walk me through that. What was I wrong about? I think Trek needs to continue to push boundaries to the max. It's logical and necessary. I think that is what Trek has done historically, and I think to continue that is not a negative. But it's going to make people mad. It's going to make people say, well, it's not my Trek, you know. I want to see a show about the Enterprise. I would not be excited about the Enterprise, Jay, if I'm being quite honest with you guys. I know that probably makes me a pretty bad person. I don't know. That's just not interesting to me. I want a Star Trek that explores and reveals the extent of the Federation. What do you mean by that when you say that, MJ Garrick? I haven't watched Discovery. Is it good? Well, let me ask you this, Spencer. Talk to you later, Alex. Thanks for coming by. Did you like the JJ universe? Did you like the JJ films? And have you seen the Legacy Trek, and did you like Legacy Trek? The discussions on Usenet and email lists, etc., just like what we see on Reddit or Twitter or FB. Yeah, but I mean, I don't think it was as wide scale. Like, I think Twitter is a lot more wide scale than those. The movies were decent to good. As long as you can accept that they don't stick with continuity as much as they could, I think you'd probably enjoy it. I would wait to get a free month and watch it, though. I wouldn't spend money. Don't steal it. Just wait for a free month. I get upset when a character that's been around for decades suddenly changes race, gender, or sexual orient. Oh, that's what you're saying. Okay. Well, Dave didn't talk about that. But I don't know that anything's changed. When you show me evidence that something has changed, I think that and there's no arc that goes through it, I think that's a negative. I agree. But I would bet money that you and I are going to disagree on what the definition of that is. I think we're going to look at a scene and see two different things. Laura, why not just talk to him? Have him on would make a good vid. People watch. You don't have to be friends just to talk. First off, generally, people who make videos like that aren't into a conversation. And so...
listen, that Nickelodeon kid show never fucking happened.
Cedric Taylor 08 super chatted $5. Yes, you got it. Sulus, who is gay, didn't want the other Sulu to be gay. Why can't people leave things alone? Create their character, leave the others alone.
By the way, did his thing pop up? His thing should have popped up. Did you guys see the pop-up there? Because if you didn't, that's going to be sad. Yeah, I don't think they should have changed the character just to change it. I agree. That would have been a problem. Hey, what nitpicky stuff are we digging in today? You already missed it, Jose. You missed it, buddy. From a financial viewpoint, you need to... Oh, I was talking about Dave. I think I sent him an email. If I didn't, I mean, he's welcome on the channel. Anyone I talk about on the channel is welcome on the channel. I don't think he'll come on because there's really nothing to gain for him. Dave's... From a financial viewpoint, you need a Trek series that satisfies both right and left wings. No, not really. I think they're making more than enough money just leaning to the left. I really do. I'm just saying, all these people who discredit Discovery era based on identity or religion shouldn't. This was one of the most diverse shows in history. I just want a good written story. I think most people would agree with you on that, but I don't think that I don't think they really mean that when they say that. I think Trek has been more culturally understanding and less common sense ignorant. Why can't society actually think like that? I don't know. I think we're leading to a populist one world government eventually. I really do. It's going to be... It comes down to which one are we going to... Is it going to be a right-leaning populist government or a left-leaning populist government? Maybe not one world, but I think a lot of countries are going to go that way. I really do. I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. Discovery has fewer watchers than Enterprise. There's no evidence of that, actually. So I'm not sure where you're getting that from. We don't have the numbers and stuff. I know it sounded good when they went on 4chan and they're like, look, in Canada, these numbers were... Blah, 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 blah. I know that looked good. And I'm sure it sounded really good when Fandom Menace channels read that off of 4chan. But there's no evidence for it. And all of the evidence we see shows that they're making money hand over fist. Now I'm sounding like Dave, says Venom. Well, if you're going to say that, then add to it. Because you can't just say now. I hope for complete centrism. I am undecided on if we should be centrist. That's really what people think centrists are. It's stupid. See, Venom, if you can say now I'm sounding like Dave, why don't you put it next to it? Now I gotta wait 30 seconds for you to say it. You gotta wait 60 seconds for me to respond to it. Come on, buddy. I'm surprised the Phantom Menace hasn't said that Discovery is so bad that Enterprise looks good. They have. At least commenters have. I don't know if any channel specifically has said it. By the way, when the $5, did you guys actually see it pop up? It should have popped up. If it didn't, I'm going to be frustrated. I'm going to be so frustrated because I worked on that. No, I'm not going to Literotica. Go to Stream Elements. I'm a subscriber of Paramount Plus for soccer. I will no longer watch any more Discovery or Picard. Knock it out, man. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think I fully believe that you should vote with your wallet and definitely not watch the stuff if you don't like it. Talking about a world government, maybe you should go on Alex Jones. I don't know, Venom. I mean, seriously, man. When you look at not like one world government, that was exaggeration. Hopefully, but I do think that like our country, like the United States, England. Like most democratic countries, I feel like ultimately are just leading towards the what's the word I'm looking for? They're leading towards a populist government, an authoritarian populist government. It just comes down to which ideology is going to win out on that populist government. Well, you heard it, but did you see it? Because it should have popped up and shown the actual clip. That's my question. They will see how much right-leaning people matter. We've all abandoned. Man, the Academy Awards should have been abandoned a long time ago. The algorithms of social media reward extreme populist versions of left and right. It's true. It's true. I think we will eventually get to a world government, not authoritarian. No, that's a pipe dream. That's not going to happen. First off, the EU is basically Germany figuring out how to take control of Europe without doing it the way Hitler did. But beyond that, I don't think. Even then, I think the EU is too democratic for what a one-world country would look like. I can't see that. I hope I'm wrong. I really do. My bet is that the U.S. is going to fragment and the U.K. has committed to independence. Okay. They're making a ton of money. There's no... I mean, Germany is the most powerful country over there. Well, yeah, and the with the UK out, they're financially the most dominant too, right? I mean, I said it in a way that to piss people off because that's who I am. But I do believe that basically Germany dominates Europe now, and they do it through the EU. The EU is too democratic for what I think is going to happen. Yeah, the EU is by no means democratic. Well, I won't say that. The EU is not as democratic as I'd prefer, but it's more democratic than what I think a one world order would be, a populist one world order. I still don't think it's popular as it once was. I don't know, Donovan. I honestly don't know the question to that. It's really weird that CBS and all of them won't share their numbers. From an English perspective, the U.S. is too big to be one country. I mean, Scotland probably agrees with you. If stop people watching Trek, look at all the new shows. Sure. The majority of Greeks don't pay taxes. Okay. I mean, I'll sign up for that. Actually, no, I wouldn't. I actually believe in a progressive tax. I know it's horrible. Oh my God. Are those shows making money? Isn't CBS rolled into Showtime now? Those shows are, in fact, making money. And CBS and Paramount, I believe, are doing actually pretty well for themselves. I will take the momentary win, sir. I will take it. I will watch any and all Star Trek that comes out. Like most other things, Trek is cyclical. This is the third major cycle, and there will be more. You can't win them all. I hope Strange New Worlds is good. I really do. The Germans will build Greece, and they will pay for it. Look at all the new Trek. And I love all Trek. What's up, buddy? How you doing? My dog wants to be pet. All right, guys. Think we're going to end it here. Thanks so much for all of your lovely, lovely additions here. It is always my pleasure to be your host. And then Leo says, oh, okay, well, we're talking about how undemocratic the union is, as it's basically the national government to dictate all parliament just to say yes. Okay. Talk to you guys later. I'll be on later tonight, 5, 6, or 7, somewhere around there. And, yeah, you know, keep it spicy, people.